We know he's an Annapolis graduate, so to me, that makes him one of the most fantastic people I can meet in the military. But I don't know a lot about him, and we didn't have a chance to get everything put together. So I'm going to ask the commander to come up and tell his biography. So I now present Commander Rafael Miranda. Thank you, sir.
Can you guys hear me back there? Hoorah! All right, excellent. All right, so quickly, let me talk about myself, which I'm kind of uncomfortable doing, but let me just run through a quick bio of where I've been, what I've done. So I'm a Bay Area native, born and raised in San Jose, California, not too far from here, right? Minus the traffic. And I went to high school out in Mountain View, California. After high school, I went to the Naval Academy, graduated at the Naval Academy in 1997. After the Naval Academy, I was commissioned as an ensign and first was a surface warfare officer. So for those that don't know what that means, I drove ships. Right? Those big great things, I drove those for 4 years. And then I looked at myself and I said, what do I want to do when I really grow up? And I started flipping through some magazines and found this small community called the Civil Engineer Corps, also the Seabees. And I said, hey, this is some amazing stuff what the Seabees do. And for those that don't know about the Seabees, they are attached at the hip to the Marines. Wherever Marines go, you will find Seabees there, right? It's a match made in heaven, really, at the end of the day. So I jumped at that opportunity. I lateral transferred over from the surface warfare community, from driving big, great ships, to being what we call ourselves, dirt sailors, right? So most Seabees, if you ask a Seabee, which ship have you been on? A lot of them will say, we've never been on ships, right? They are dirt sailors. And again, what I tell you is they're practically attached at the hip with the Marines. They're our brothers and sisters in arms. So after I lateral transfer into the Civil Engineer Corps, I went ahead and did some tours in Bremerton, did some contract management out in Bremerton, went over to the East Coast, Little Creek, Virginia, Amphibious Construction Battalion 2. I cut my teeth on being a Seabee out there in Little Creek. From Little Creek, I had I'm still getting points from the wifey with regards to the next set of orders we got after Little Creek, Virginia. We ended up going to Sicily. Sigonella, Sicily, where I did some more facility management, public works functions out in Sigonella, Sicily. If you've never been there or tried their wine, I would recommend it. Highly recommend Sicilian wine. After Sicily, I got promoted to lieutenant commander there, and they said, hey, you have to go back to school. So I did a year at NC State, North Carolina State, the Wolfpack. I got my construction management, master's in construction management. From there, I got plucked to go back to NMCB 4, Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 4, out of Port Hueneme. So this is the second time I've been in Port Hueneme. I did a stint there at Port Hueneme. I'll go into it a little bit more when I was with NMCB 4, and all of the deployments that we did were fantastic. But again, I'll go back into that. After NMCB 4, they ended up plucking me to 1st Naval Construction Division, which was the CB headquarters. It was one of those, I really didn't want to go. Nobody wants to go to higher headquarters, right? Nobody does. But they plucked me and said, hey, you've got an interesting set of skills. We need you to go to headquarters and manage the whole CB force. From 1 NCD, I went to Oceana, Public Works Oceana, and that's in Little Creek, Virginia Beach. Did some time there. After that, I went to the Pentagon, served, did my time at OpNav. It's interesting, all of the wheelings and dealings that you'll see at the Pentagon and what happens behind closed-door sessions between flag officers, general officers, and the higher-ranking civilians. But it really opened my eyes. It kind of helped me connect the dots, but realize it's all about the relationships that you build and all of the ability to communicate and articulate your requirements and your desires. But again, so after OpNav, I ended up getting picked for an interesting set of orders. 1 year unaccompanied to be the executive officer / public works officer out in Poland. So I don't know how many folks know about the ballistic missile defense system that's been developed in Romania, and now it's being developed in Poland. So I did the groundbreaking out in Poland. We're maybe a year and a half before that goes live, but again, some interesting stuff. Got the opportunity to work with the Army Corps of Engineers, Ballistic Missile Defense Agency, but the tour in Poland for 1 year was great. I was able to bring the family out there, so I now love beets, vodka, and pierogies. Not a bad mix, right? So not a bad mix. So that, in a nutshell, and of course, my current command, I've been here 4 months, and it's flown by really quick. Just got picked up for command, so I'm a commanding officer at Naval Construction Training Center at Fort Hueneme. So if you guys are ever on base looking at the CB Museum, right next door to the CB Museum is my facility, my compound. I would recommend, if you guys have the time, come on by. I'd love to have you in my office and we can chat some more. But again, it's the CB Schoolhouse. That's what I call it, the Little Green Schoolhouse. It's where we have all of the young sailors that graduate boot camp and want to be Seabees. They come to us and we train them. I've got a cadre of incredible staff and instructors who will teach these young sailors to become Seabees. And after that, they will go on to the battalions or all to the different operational units out there. So that's where I'm at right now. I think I've got about a year and a half before they push me out again, right? So they're called orders, not invitations. So I will go wherever they need me. So that's me in a nutshell. So what I'm planning to do here is I'm going to go through my speech here, and then I want to try something a little bit different because this is a lively bunch. And I noticed there's a bunch of guys, that table in the back, somebody's got to keep an eye on them. But I would say, yeah, everybody, those guys, yes. I'm a little scared. I think, did you guys all eat your dinner rolls? I don't want you throwing those at me. But then I'll go into some sort of question and answer. If you've got any burning questions, if there's any comments that you want to ask me, feel free, I'm game. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability, or I'll pass it to my senior chief over there. But again, so first of all, wow, this is unbelievable. First, I'm honored and humbled to stand before you all. I want to thank LULAC, what a great organization, for inviting me and accepting me. It was kind of funny at first. So I talked to our base PAO, and I was like, wow, somebody wants me to stand in front of folks and speak. That's great. LULAC, what's LULAC? And then so she said, United Latin American Citizens. I'm like, huh. So this is full disclaimer for everybody here, okay? Please don't ask for your money back. But I said, well, that's fantastic. I will do it as long as they realize that, yes, my last name, my full name is deceiving. I'm Filipino, not Latino. So she said, hey, Commander, hold up a little. We'll call, but I think you'll be fine. So I got the thumbs up, I got the green light. So again, full disclosure, Filipino, not Latino, but we're pretty darn close, right?
Yeah, but you're still welcome in our group, sir.
Yeah, no, this is great. So again, thank you for having me. Officially, my full name is Rafael Arturo Luis Hidalgo Miranda I. But again, it's this tight-knit community that I always love being a part of, and you guys feed me a lot of great energy here. So to the young men, the color guard, thank you very much. That was awesome. That was incredible. To the students, to the first responders, to the police, fire department, incredible meal. To the students, thank you very much for volunteering your hours. Have you guys had the chili yet? There's a whole vat of chili. I would recommend having some more chili. I asked for a cup of chili and it's fantastic. Instead of a cup of coffee, it's great. So, By all means, if you're still eating, please keep eating. If there's a whole dessert table back there, whoever made the dessert, well done. It was very, very tasty, and I'll probably go back there here soon. But again, so to everybody here, thank you. Good evening, and to the veterans, thank you for your service. To the rest of the crowd, thank you for coming out to support your veterans, our heroes. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure that your presence resonates well with our veterans this evening. So, we kind of live in some very interesting times, right? Back in the day, I'll say back in the day, we had two countries that we called superpowers, right? USA and the Soviet Union at that time, right? Today, we have many players, many superpowers to include China, North Korea, India, Pakistan, Iran, and even those violent extremist organizations that are out there. We also live in a fiscally constrained environment, right? That affects our services across the board. So what that does, it becomes very challenging. So many of you have heard of the goal of a 300-ship Navy. Well, it's very tough in this type of fiscally constrained environment to get the resources to keep up with the maintenance, the upgrades that will keep our military one step ahead of our competition. Right? I mentioned I was at OPNAV. I've seen the posturing, the politics, the red tape, the bickering back and forth associated with all these different scenarios. But despite the challenges, we all need to realize that our most precious commodity, our most coveted resource, is abundant. We have plenty of it. And I'm talking about the Navy sailor, our Seabees, our service members across all the services. We are in great hands. And what do I mean by that? Well, from where I sit as the commanding officer at Naval Construction Training Center, Port Hueneme, we see a lot of young adults answer the call. They come straight from boot camp, from Great Lakes, and come to my command to get specialized construction mechanic training, CB training. Once they complete the 3-month course of instruction, we then send them to the operational CB units to deploy. The young adults that I see coming across our spaces, they're hungry, motivated, and true patriots. I'm energized every day, and they keep me pumped, knowing that our CB force is in great hands with these young CBs looking to work their way up the ranks, ready to answer the call to deploy in harm's way. Now, I would be foolish to think it was all me. It's never about me, never. I'm not alone in training our CBs. I rely on my incredible staff to make it happen. So it's a great lead-in to what I'm about to do here and who I'm about to introduce, right? I want to introduce my two guests tonight. Senior Chief Adalberto Marco Corona and his better half, Jernette. Please stand up. They've been blessed with 3 beautiful children, and I believe they're still in the car? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Windows open. You bring some bottled water down there? Fantastic. Okay. All right. I know that's on video, so please, that was a joke. Okay. Excellent. So, Senior Chief, you gotta take your seats. Senior Chief and the rest of my Chief's mess, along with the Petty Officer 1st and 2nd classes, are the backbone of my command. They are the movers and shakers. They're the ones responsible for training the young CBs coming from boot camp, and even the experienced CBs coming back to our command for some advanced training. So I've known Senior Chief for a while, right? So we deployed together when I was back at NMCB 4. We deployed to Horn of Africa, where he was my mission commander to Ethiopia, Africa. He built a schoolhouse in Ethiopia. You talk about winning hearts and minds, it was unbelievable what he was able to do with his detachment. And then we deployed to Afghanistan. So, funny story is originally we were headed to Okinawa in Guam. But if you remember back in 2010, there was a surge. There was a 10,000 troop surge to Afghanistan. So they called NMCB 4 and said, hey, you guys are the radio battalion. We're shifting you guys. Instead of going to Oki and Guam, where I was going to get my scuba quals, we were going to go to Afghanistan. to support the warfighters. And of course, as good Seabees, we said, roger that. You know, carry out the plan of the day, we will definitely do that. For Senior Chief, this was his second trip to Afghanistan. Other tours that he's gone to, he's been to Gabon, Africa, Sasebo, Japan, and Mindanao, Philippines. So during the 2 years that I had at NMCB-4, I saw Senior Chief, who was at the time a second-class petty officer, advanced to first-class petty officer. That was 2010. So when I reported to my command 4 months ago, I was amazed, shocked, that what was once petty officer first class Adalberto Marco Corona was now Senior Chief Corona. Okay? 7 years later, he advanced to Chief Petty Officer and Senior Chief Petty Officer. An amazing feat. Incredible, really. But I wasn't surprised, and here's why. So I'm going to read something to you all, a citation that he received from the Army during our deployment to Afghanistan. For meritorious service as Assistant Convoy Commander in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Petty Officer First Class Corona led the safe movement of over 12,000 miles of tactical convoys transporting 16,000 tons of critical supplies and equipment to forward operating bases across Regional Command North Afghanistan. He coordinated the logistics for 210 missions and supervised pre-combat inspections of all tasked Seabees. Petty Officer First Class Corona's performance reflects great credit upon himself, NMCB-4, the United States Navy, and the United States Army. So can you really be surprised? When you build paperwork like that, you can't go wrong, okay? I've seen him grow up in front of me, and he continues to amaze me even at my current command. So we talk about the future, right, and the state of the Navy, of the services. Who's at the helm? Who's making sure we are ready? And who's calling the shots? So I'll tell you that in my command, Senior Chief Corona is my shot caller, my big baller, the man who's executing the mission. But he's not the only one. We have many across our Navy that are making things happen despite the many challenges we face. You know, as a commanding officer, I rely heavily on my chief's mess for guidance and to execute my vision in our mission. I've been blessed with Senior Chief Corona, and I want you to know that we have many more of these individuals taking care of our services. So please, raise a glass, raise your cookie, raise your dessert, whatever it may be. But help join me in saluting Senior Corona, his wife, Jernette, for letting us have Senior Chief Corona monopolizing his time. And help me congratulate him for everything that he's done. Now let's raise those glasses up again. I would be remiss. This would be better for your shots. You know what I'm saying? Is that on tape too? No. Yeah. Okay.
We don't use tape anymore.
To the veterans and to their families in attendance and across the world, and to all of the patriots that sit here with us today, this toast is for you. Hoorah! Hoorah! So again, thank you again for allowing me to be here today. And as I promised, I'm going to open it up. If there's any questions that you guys may have or any comments, I'm right here. So please bring it on. If nothing else, there's a lot of dessert back there. And more chili, I'm sure. Sir.
Commander, how was it going from the Navy to becoming a CB? It sounds like you're happier as a CB now.
Of course I'm happier as a CB. No, so that's a great question. So a lot of people, so that's what a little bit unique about me. I'm a little bit different, kind of a unicorn. The fact that I've been in the Navy, the big ships, the gray ships, and I understand that side, and I also know the third side. So it was a complete change. It was a complete change. You know, I'm not standing on the bridge saying, right standard rudder. You know, I'm now watching equipment operators bulldoze, build berms, fill sandbags, just all of our CVs. So it's a completely different world. I would say the CVs are more closer to the Army, the Marines, right? So, yeah, no. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. We have a question.
I just want to make a comment, sir.
Oh, a comment.
Back in the day, in Vietnam, you say Filipino. Those Filipinos can dance up a storm and they can sing up a storm in Spanish.
And they can cook too, right? All that lumpia and pancit. Yeah. Sir.
How big is the CV force? How many CVs are there?
So, how many CVs are there? That's a great question. So, we've been racked with budget cuts. There was a time where we had 12 battalions full of CVs, right? So each battalion, you're looking at about 600 CVs, okay? So that's 12 battalions of active duty. On the reserve side, we had 9 battalions. Today we sit at 6 and 6, right? So if you do that, my math is bad. Senior chief, what are we looking at? How big is our force? We're looking at. Exactly. Yes. So what was once large is now because of, again, constraints. And I can't blame our superiors, the Pentagon, right? The big Navy. At the end of the day, what I learned at OPNAV at the Pentagon was the CV force is a small sliver of the budget. Okay? They're all about building ships and planes, right? It's the big ships that they want with the big guns and the big missiles. So that is the challenge that we as a CV force face. But we persist and we thrive on. We understand. We know what our role is. As long as the Marines are around, they'll protect us.
Back there, sir.
Is the last one? Oh, we got 2 more? Okay, last 2. Okay.
You can go first.
Ma'am.
The skills that the sailors are learning in their CV training, how does that translate once they leave the naval force?
Very well. It translates incredibly well. To be honest with you, that was one of the things why I transitioned from the surface, the gray ships, to a civil engineer corps officer, because I wasn't looking to drive tugboats the rest of my life, right? And nothing against my brothers and sisters in arms, right? But what the civil engineer corps allowed me to do was facility management, construction management, while still being in a leadership position with CVs, right? The CVs that are learning, like senior chief, he can build you an armoire rack if you want, right? He's a builder. We have steel workers, we have equipment operators. You look at all of the skill sets that our CVs bring to bear. Once they take off the uniform, they are an incredibly marketable group of folks.
Does that training translate into licenses and so forth out in the civilian world?
Yes, ma'am. And in fact, we just got one of our, the ACNR, our utilities men course, where they do all the plumbing, the pipe fitting, ACNR. We just got that license. We had the folks come on board and take a look at our curriculum and said, hey, if they complete this course, here's a certificate that you're able to use out in the real world. I say the real world, the private sector. So yeah, we are doing whatever we can to help our CVs once they take off the uniform. Yeah. Chief.
Commander, I want to thank you for the encouragement. This is from an old Navy CV chief. And thank you again for serving, Junior. Good job. And I pray one day, Commander, that we'll see Captain on you, bro. You been Captain. Hey, Captain.
I gotta wait till 1 September to actually put it on, so. I got it, so.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but again, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, from the CB family to everybody here. Thank you very much.